Captain Ryland stepped off the sleek human shuttle and onto the polished surface of the alien spaceport. The air shimmered with soft colors, as if the sunlight itself had been mixed with liquid light. Floating platforms hovered above him, moving silently in the sky. The city stretched endlessly, a combination of crystal towers, glowing walkways, and rivers of light flowing through the streets below. Ryland adjusted his uniform and looked around. He had traveled across many systems, but nothing had prepared him for this. The aliens of the planet Talira were known for their advanced technology. Their cities floated in the sky, powered by forces humans did not yet understand. Even so, Ryland felt a spark of excitement. Humans had always been underestimated, and he intended to show them that courage, curiosity, and creativity were not bound to any single species. A group of alien officials approached. They were tall and slender, with translucent skin that glimmered faintly in the light. Their eyes were large and almond-shaped, showing a faint glow of intelligence. Ryland bowed respectfully. "Captain Ryland," one of the officials said, his voice musical but precise, "you are welcome. The council awaits you. Please follow us." Ryland nodded. "Thank you. I am honored." He followed them along a bridge of light that stretched above the city streets. The bridge hummed softly under his feet, responding to his weight. Ryland could feel the alien technology adjusting around him, a reminder that he was a visitor in a world far beyond Earth. As they entered the palace grounds, Ryland's eyes widened. The gardens were enormous, filled with plants that glowed in colors he had never seen before. Trees twisted in impossible shapes, and flowers opened and closed as if breathing. Streams of clear water reflected the floating towers above, creating the illusion of walking in the sky. And then he saw her. A figure moved gracefully between the glowing plants, her robe shimmering like liquid silver. Ryland stopped in his tracks. He had seen portraits of alien royalty before, but this was different. The princess moved with a calm elegance, her presence commanding, yet gentle. He could hardly believe his eyes. "She's the most splendid princess I've seen," he whispered to himself, barely daring to breathe. The princess turned her head toward him, her eyes meeting his with curiosity. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Ryland felt a strange mix of awe and nervousness. Here was someone from a world so advanced, yet she looked at him, not with disdain but with genuine interest. The lead official cleared his throat. "Captain Ryland, this is Princess Liara. She will accompany you during your visit." Ryland bowed again, his heart still racing. "It is an honor, Princess Liara." Liara inclined her head slightly, a small smile on her lips. "Captain Ryland," she said softly, her voice melodic, "we do not often receive visitors from other worlds. I hope you find Talira enlightening." "I am certain I will," Ryland replied, keeping his tone steady despite the excitement he felt. The princess led him along a path lined with glowing plants. As they walked, Ryland noticed how carefully she observed everything around her, from the smallest flower to the distant towers floating in the sky. She seemed deeply connected to her world, yet curious about him as well. "Tell me about Earth," Liara said suddenly, turning to look at him. "Your world is so distant, yet you travel here with such ease. What is it like?" Ryland smiled. "Earth is beautiful in its own way. Our skies, oceans, forests, they are alive with color and life. But it is the people who make it special. Humans are curious, inventive, and sometimes reckless. We solve problems in ways that might seem strange to others, but somehow it works." Liara's eyes widened slightly. "Reckless, and yet you survive?" "Sometimes," Ryland admitted, laughing lightly. "Survival often requires courage, cleverness, and working together. It is not always our technology that saves us, but our ability to think, to adapt, and to care for one another." They walked in silence for a few moments, the soft hum of the floating city around them. Ryland noticed that Liara seemed thoughtful. as if weighing his words carefully. Then she spoke again. Your people are interesting. Perhaps we have underestimated you, she said. Rylan felt a small spark of pride. Humans had often been dismissed as weak or simple, especially by more advanced civilizations. Yet here was someone from an advanced world, beginning to see humans as something more. Their path led them to a large observation platform overlooking the city. From this vantage point, the entire floating metropolis stretched out before them, towers rising like glass mountains, streams of light connecting them like veins of energy. Rylan could see the aliens moving below, their technology impressive, but there was something missing, something human that he could not yet put into words. Do you see it? Rylan asked softly, pointing toward the bustling city below. Even here, with all your technology, there is a certain order. Humans would call it improvisation, but it works. We find solutions, sometimes in ways that surprise even ourselves. Liara looked at him, her expression unreadable for a moment, then she nodded slowly. I see. Perhaps there is more to your species than I realized. Rylan smiled. I hope so. And perhaps by the end of my visit, you will see humans not just as distant travelers, but as allies, friends, maybe even something remarkable. Liara turned. To him, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. We shall see, Captain, we shall see. As the sun, or what passed for a sun on Talira, began to set, casting the floating city in a cascade of soft, colorful light, Rylan felt a strange sense of hope. He was far from home, surrounded by beings far more advanced than himself, yet he felt ready. Ready to prove that humanity and its courage, creativity, and spirit could shine even in the vastness of the galaxy. And as Princess Liara looked at him, her expression unreadable but her attention fully captured, Rylan knew this visit would be unlike any other. The next morning, the sun, or the soft glowing star that lit Talira, cast gentle light across the palace gardens. Captain Rylan woke with excitement. Today, he would explore the city with Princess Liara, learning more about her people and perhaps about himself. Liara arrived promptly, her silver robe glinting in the morning light. Captain Rylan, she said, bowing slightly. I hope you are ready. There is much to see and time moves differently here. Rylan smiled. I am ready, Princess. Lead the way. They walked through winding paths filled with flowers that shimmered like tiny stars. Some plants hummed softly, responding to their steps. Birds of many colors flitted among the glowing branches. Rylan paused occasionally to study them, amazed at the alien ecosystem. Do you grow all of this? He asked, gesturing to the gardens. Liara shook her head. Nature here is part of the city itself. Our engineers guide it, but the plants and creatures are alive, independent. We live with them, not just around them. Rylan nodded. That's remarkable. On Earth, we struggle to balance technology and nature. Here, it seems effortless. As they continued, Liara stopped at a small pavilion overlooking a sparkling river of light. She gestured for Rylan to sit beside her. Tell me about your people, Captain. How do humans manage in your world? Rylan leaned forward, his eyes bright. Humans are simple in some ways and complicated in others. We are curious, inventive, and persistent. We make mistakes, often big ones, but we learn from them. That is what makes us strong. Our strength is not in machines alone. It is in our minds and hearts. Liara listened carefully, her eyes narrowing slightly as if examining his words for deeper meaning. Your species values courage and creativity more than perfection? She asked. Yes, Rylan said, smiling. We adapt. We work together. Even when the odds are against us, we find a way. That is human nature. Liara leaned back, thoughtful. Interesting. Perhaps you are not as simple as some believe. I see promise in your kind. Rylan felt a quiet pride. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. To have a princess of such intelligence acknowledge their potential was inspiring. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft alarm. A shimmering panel beside the pavilion lit up, showing a small building in the lower city trembling. Liara frowned. That is the water distribution center. It should not be moving. Rylan instinctively stepped closer to the display. Do you need help? He asked. Liara glanced at him, slightly surprised. Your species? You do not hesitate? Not. When people may be in danger, Rylan said simply. Show me. They quickly moved to the observation station and activated a small transport platform that lowered them near the trembling building. Citizens had gathered, unsure of what to do. The structure was beginning to tilt, and glowing streams of energy were sparking along its sides. Rylan assessed the situation quickly. The support pylons are misaligned. If we can stabilize them temporarily, the building won't collapse. Liara raised an eyebrow. And how will humans stabilize structures on Talira? You barely know the technology. Rylan smiled. We don't always need to know everything. Sometimes understanding the principle is enough. I can improvise. He scanned the area and noticed a series of floating energy beams that could act as temporary supports. With Liara's guidance, he directed the citizens to form a human-style chain. They moved supplies, anchored beams, and followed his instructions. Though untrained in alien technology, Rylan's clear directions and calm voice inspired confidence. Within minutes, the building stopped trembling. The citizens cheered softly, relieved. Liara turned to him, her eyes wide with astonishment. You saved, The next day, Princess Liara led Captain Rylan on a journey beyond the palace gardens, into the heart of the floating city. Towering spires shimmered in the sunlight, and glowing walkways curved gracefully through the air. Citizens of Talira moved along the paths, their movements elegant and precise, yet curious eyes followed the human stranger as he walked beside the princess. You will see more of our city today, Liara explained. It is one of the oldest centers of knowledge in our world. Many ideas are born here and many debates are held. But it is also where we test new inventions. Some succeed, some do not. Rylan listened carefully, amazed by the scale and elegance of the city. Your people are very clever, he said, but sometimes cleverness alone is not enough. Humans often rely on teamwork, intuition, and even luck to solve problems. Liara glanced at him, a small smile tugging at her lips. I am beginning to see that. Your species is unusual, brave and surprisingly inventive in ways that our technology does not always account for. As they walked along a curved bridge of glowing metal, an alarm suddenly echoed across the city. The lights in the distance flickered and Rylan instinctively felt tension rise in the air. Liara's eyes narrowed. That is the central energy hub, she said. It should not be fluctuating. Follow me. They hurried toward the hub, moving above the city streets on a floating transport platform. As they approached, they saw a crowd of aliens gathered below, murmuring anxiously. A massive crystal reactor at the center of the hub was pulsing unevenly, sending sparks of energy into the air. If it failed, it could disrupt the floating city for hours, or worse. Liara turned to Rylan, her expression serious. We need to stabilize it quickly. I have tried the standard procedures, but the readings are unusual. Can you help? Rylan studied the situation. Though he had never worked with alien technology before, he looked for principles he recognized: balance, flow, and energy distribution. We can try a human approach, he said. Sometimes it's not about following exact instructions, it's about observing, adapting, and improvising. Liara hesitated but nodded. Very well. Show me what you propose. Rylan directed the alien engineers with calm, precise instructions. He suggested realigning the energy conduits and redistributing the load among auxiliary circuits. To human eyes, it seemed almost too simple, but the result was immediate. The reactor stabilized, its glow returning to a steady pulse. The gathered citizens erupted in relief, and Liara's eyes widened in admiration. You did it, she said softly. You relied on observation and quick thinking, not on knowing every detail beforehand. Rylan shrugged. Sometimes being human means thinking outside the box and trusting your instincts. Technology is a tool, not a master. People, humans, aliens, anyone, make it work. Liara's expression softened. I am beginning to understand why humans survive in so many harsh environments. You think fast, act decisively, and care for others. These are not weaknesses, they are strengths. They continued their tour, moving into the city's innovation district. Here, inventors displayed creations that ranged from small mechanical devices to enormous machines that hovered silently above the streets. Rylan examined each one carefully, asking questions and offering suggestions where he saw room for improvement. At one display, a group of alien engineers was trying to create a self-cleaning water filtration system. The design was brilliant, but overly complex. Rylan suggested a minor adjustment inspired by a system humans used on Earth. Within moments, the machine functioned more smoothly. Liara watched the process quietly, impressed by his clarity and simplicity of thought. You simplify? What seems complicated, she said, her voice thoughtful. That is extraordinary. Rylan smiled. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Humans have survived in many worlds and climates by relying on creativity rather than complexity. As the day wore on, Liara and Rylan shared stories of their worlds. He told her of Earth's oceans, mountains, and forests, of human inventions and discoveries. She shared tales of Talira's history, its floating cities, and the energy crystals that powered their civilization. Each story brought them closer, revealing mutual curiosity and respect. Later, they reached the edge of the city where a series of interconnected platforms hovered over a glowing canyon. The view was breathtaking. Rylan looked out across the vast expanse and realized how small yet significant humans could be in a galaxy of giants. Liara stood beside him, quiet for a moment. You are far from home, Captain, she said softly. Yet you walk among us without fear, without hesitation. That impresses me. Rylan glanced at her. It is not about being fearless, he said. It is about understanding that even in danger we can make a difference. Humans may not always be the strongest, but we find ways to survive, to help, to succeed. Liara studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Perhaps there is more to humans than my council believed. Perhaps humans are capable of much more than we imagined. As the sun, or the soft starlight, faded, the floating city lit up in a cascade of glowing colors. The people moved through the streets below, oblivious to the bond forming above. Liara turned to Rylan, her expression softer than before. You are unlike any human I've imagined, she said. Clever, brave, and thoughtful. I see promise in your species, and perhaps even friendship. Rylan felt a warmth spread through him. He had come to Talira as a visitor, uncertain of his place among beings far more advanced. Yet now, he felt a sense of belonging, a realization that humans could inspire, influence, and even earn the respect of a civilization that seemed beyond reach. Thank you, Princess Liara, he said sincerely. I hope by the time I leave, you will see humans not just as visitors but as something more. Friends, allies, perhaps even examples of courage and ingenuity. Liara smiled faintly, her eyes glinting with curiosity and approval. We shall see, Captain. Your journey has only begun. As night fell over the floating city, Rylan felt anticipation stirring in his chest. Challenges would come, and the world of Talira held secrets he had yet to uncover. But one thing was certain. Humans, with their creativity, courage, and determination, had already begun to leave a mark. And with Princess Liara by his side, observing, learning, and perhaps even understanding, the adventure ahead promised to be extraordinary. The bond between human and princess had begun to grow, delicate but strong, a thread that would carry them through challenges yet unseen, in a city that floated above the stars. The morning air was calm, almost too calm, as Captain Rylan walked alongside Princess Liara through the palace corridors. The events of the past days had built a cautious trust between them. The princess now welcomed his insights and observations, often listening closely to his ideas. Yet a shadow of unease lingered in the air, a subtle tension that neither had fully recognized. Liara paused before a large observation window, looking out over the city below. "Captain," she said softly, "I feel something is not right. There have been small disruptions lately, minor accidents in the energy networks, minor failures in the transport systems. On their own, they seem harmless, but together, they form a pattern." Rylan frowned, studying the sprawling city beneath them. "You think someone is causing these problems deliberately?" Liara nodded. "Yes. Some among the council may fear the humans' presence. They believe your species might change our world. I do not, but others." She trailed off, her eyes thoughtful. Rylan took a deep breath. "Then we need to find out what they are planning before it becomes serious. Humans have ways of observing patterns, noticing things others overlook." Liara looked at him with a spark of admiration. "Very well, Captain. Let us begin." They spent the morning reviewing reports and monitoring energy flows throughout the city. Rylan's sharp eyes caught small inconsistencies, a subtle rerouting of power in certain districts, unusual fluctuations in transportation systems, and tiny but repeated errors in public devices. Each issue alone was minor, but together, they formed a clear warning. "Someone is testing the systems," Rylan said. "They want to see how far they can push without being caught. This could escalate into something dangerous." Liara's brow furrowed. "I had hoped to welcome humans peacefully, but if these nobles act, they may endanger the city. And you." Rylan shook his head. "We will be careful, but humans do not easily back down from a challenge. We assess, plan, and act when necessary. That is how we survive in difficult situations." Liara led him to a private balcony overlooking the central palace plaza. "If we are to uncover the truth, we must be discreet. The saboteurs must not suspect we—" "No, can you help me navigate this without alerting them?" Rylan nodded. "Yes. Humans are good at thinking creatively, using information quietly, and acting where others might hesitate. We will gather evidence first, then decide what to do." Over the next few hours, they observed the city from hidden vantage points, taking careful notes. Rylan pointed out details Liara had overlooked: a transport vehicle parked in an unusual location, a minor misalignment in a floating bridge, and subtle irregularities in a communication array. Together, they pieced together the movements of the saboteurs, revealing a network of hidden operatives. "This is worse than I feared," Liara said. "They have insiders in key positions. If they strike at once, the consequences could be severe." Rylan thought quickly. "Then we need a plan that combines your knowledge of Talira's technodem." The sun rose slowly over the floating city, casting long beams of light across the crystal towers. Captain Rylan and Princess Liara were already awake, moving through the palace corridors with purpose. The warnings of hidden threats had become reality. The saboteurs had begun their attack. Liara's expression was calm but serious. "Captain, this is it. They plan to destabilize the city completely. We must act quickly or many will be in danger." Rylan nodded. "Humans face danger often. We adapt, think quickly, and work together. We will help your city survive." They reached the observation tower at the heart of the palace, which overlooked the central districts. Below, several floating platforms quivered, their energy flows disrupted. Citizens ran for safety as sparks flew from failing power conduits. The saboteurs were using every trick they could to create chaos, but Rylan's eyes scanned the scene, analyzing it carefully. "Liara, we need a plan that uses both your technology and human improvisation," Rylan said. "We can stabilize the critical points and protect the citizens simultaneously." Liara nodded. "We will divide our efforts. You take the energy conduits and the bridges. I will coordinate the city defenses and alert the engineers. Rylan moved swiftly, guiding groups of aliens in human-style teamwork. He assigned tasks, explained solutions, and adjusted the plan as the situation changed. Despite the alien technology being unfamiliar, he relied on human ingenuity and common sense, demonstrating how creativity and quick thinking could make a difference. At the first unstable bridge, Rylan called out instructions. Form a support line. Attach the auxiliary beams here. Work together and stay calm. The aliens hesitated, unsure of human methods, but Rylan's clear guidance inspired confidence. Slowly, they followed his commands and the bridge stabilized. Sparks subsided, and the structure shone steadily under the Tellurian sun. Meanwhile, Liara coordinated the city's central energy nodes, ensuring that citizens remained safe and that power flows were rerouted to prevent further damage. She glanced at Rylan and saw him calmly analyzing each situation, making decisions rapidly yet carefully. She realized that human courage was not reckless. It was thoughtful, adaptive, and decisive. A second, larger crisis erupted at the energy hub. A crystal reactor began to overheat, threatening to explode. Rylan ran toward it, assessing the problem. Alien engineers were unsure how to react, but Rylan quickly directed them. Use the auxiliary conduits to redistribute energy. Align the stabilizers with these nodes. Now, he shouted. With Liara coordinating from above, Rylan's plan worked. The reactor cooled, and the energy pulses returned to normal. Citizens below cheered quietly, their relief palpable. Liara approached, her eyes wide. Captain Rylan, you have saved countless lives today. Your methods, human intuition, quick thinking, leadership, are remarkable. Rylan wiped sweat from his brow. It is not just me. It is the people working together. Humans believe that when we combine effort, we can achieve great things even against overwhelming odds. The day continued with one challenge after another. Saboteurs tried to block transport platforms, interfere with water distribution, and disrupt communications. Each time, Rylan adapted. Sometimes he used alien devices in unexpected ways. Sometimes he applied human strategies of improvisation and teamwork. Slowly, the saboteurs' plan began to fail. By mid-afternoon, the central plaza became the final focus. A massive energy conduit had been sabotaged, threatening to collapse several floating districts simultaneously. Rylan assessed it quickly. The human solution was simple but effective. Stabilize the conduit temporarily while engineers repaired the damage. Form teams along the conduit, Rylan shouted. Anchor the support beams and hold the energy nodes in place. Trust each other and follow instructions. The citizens and engineers hesitated only a moment before falling into line. Together, guided by human direction and Tellurian technology, they stabilized the structure. Sparks died out, the energy pulses evened, and the floating districts held strong. Liara approached Rylan, her expression filled with respect. Captain, you have shown my people the true power of courage and cooperation. Humans may lack our advanced technology, but your spirit, your ingenuity, it is unmatched. Rylan smiled. Thank you, Princess. Humans have always relied on heart, courage, and teamwork. That is our greatest strength. Technology alone cannot save anyone. It is the people who use it that matter. As the sun began to set, the floating city was safe once more. The saboteurs had been identified and captured by the Council, unable to match the combined effort of human determination and Tellurian technology. Citizens returned to their homes, awed by the teamwork they had witnessed. Liara turned to Rylan, the soft light of evening reflecting in her eyes. Today you have proven that humans are capable of far more than my council believed. You are brave, clever, and extraordinary. Rylan felt a warmth in his chest. Thank you, Princess. But it was not only my courage. It was teamwork and your guidance. Together, we saved your city. Liara smiled, a genuine smile that carried respect and admiration. Humans are remarkable indeed. Perhaps our worlds can learn much from each other. As night settled over the floating city, Rylan walked alongside Liara back to the palace gardens. The stars reflected in the rivers of light, and the air carried a gentle hum of peace. The day had tested human courage and ingenuity to the fullest, and they had succeeded. The bond between Captain Rylan and Princess Liara had grown stronger, built not only on admiration but on shared effort and trust. Humanity had proven itself in action, and Lyra had seen the value of courage, quick thinking, and teamwork. Rylan knew that challenges would come again, but tonight, the city was safe. And for the first time, he felt that humans were truly recognized, not just as visitors but as allies, and perhaps even something more. The adventure was far from over, but the test of valor had been passed, and the galaxy, vast and full of wonders, had begun to notice humanity in a new light. The city of Talira shimmered under the gentle light of the rising twin moons. Floating towers reflected the soft glow, casting patterns across the rivers of light below. After the day of chaos and heroism, peace had returned. Captain Rylan walked alongside Princess Liara through the palace gardens, both feeling the weight of the events that had unfolded. "Captain," Liara said quietly, "today has changed much more than the city. It has changed how my people see humans. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and teamwork can match even our most advanced technology." Rylan smiled. "Thank you, Princess, but it was not just me. The citizens, the engineers, and your guidance. Together we achieved this. Humans rely on working together, and it is the same here. Cooperation is stronger than any one person." Liara nodded thoughtfully. "Your species has a way of inspiring those around you. Even when faced with danger, you act decisively, with a calm mind and brave heart. That is rare." Rylan glanced around at the glowing plants and shimmering paths of the gardens. Humans often succeed not because we are perfect, but because we never give up. We see problems as challenges, not obstacles. We adapt, learn, and keep moving forward. Liara smiled faintly. "Perhaps that is the greatest lesson my people can learn from humans. Technology alone is not enough. Courage, creativity, and determination are just as powerful." As they continued walking, members of the Alien Council approached. Their expressions were serious, but there was a hint of admiration in their eyes. One counselor stepped forward. "Captain Rylan," he said, his voice formal, "on behalf of Talira, we honor you for your courage and wisdom. You have not only saved our city but also shown the strength of humanity. Your actions today will be remembered for generations." Rylan bowed respectfully. "I am grateful for your words. It has been my honor to serve and protect this city, alongside Princess Liara and all of you. Humans learn and grow from every experience, and today has been no exception." Liara stepped forward, her silver robe catching the moonlight. "Captain Rylan, you have proven to me and my people that humans are extraordinary. Your courage, intelligence, and creativity are remarkable. I hope our worlds can continue to learn from each other and that our friendship will grow stronger." Rylan met her gaze, feeling a deep sense of pride and respect. "I hope so, Princess. Humans value friendship and trust. When we are given a chance, we show our true strength, our hearts, our minds, and our determination. That is who we are." The council members nodded in agreement, their expressions softened. Even those who had doubted humanity now recognized the potential and value of the species. It was more than technology or power. It was human spirit, ingenuity, and courage that had made the difference. Liara turned to Rylan as the council dispersed. "Come, Captain. I want to show you something." She led him to the highest platform in the palace, overlooking the entire floating city. The view was breathtaking. Towers floated like crystal mountains, streams of light connected every district, and the citizens moved gracefully below, their lives returning to calm harmony. "This is my world," Liara said softly. "It is beautiful, and it is strong, but today you have added something new, proof that humans, though far from home, can make a difference here. That is a gift few outsiders receive. Rylan looked out over the city, feeling a mix of awe and humility. Thank you, Princess. Humans often travel to new worlds with hope and courage and wiry challenge, yo.